The second one is business as usual, which is we maintain our actual governance, as we do, everybody doing its own thing, but talking to the others in order not to rock the boat. And so we keep going on like this and just reacting to the crisis and making it sure that maybe we can stay afloat. This is a real possibility. I don't think it's very sustainable in the long run. So I'll go to the third scenario, which is already starting to happen, which is a new hierarchization of power in the world, where the decisions will be made by those who have still some possibilities, not a lot, but some possibilities, some capabilities to have an impact and to say no to the markets, the governments, the firms. First of them, it's obvious, is the government of the United States of America. The United States today, we like it or not, are the only ones that guarantee the ultimate guarantor of some global commons that are absolutely crucial to the functioning of the global economy, which is monitoring and defense of maritime trade, which is 90% of the world trade goes by sea. It is keeping in good functioning the global network of information and communications, which are absolutely crucial. It's the capacity to intervene in anywhere in the world militarily in case of emergency. It is the most dynamic center of innovation and research. But, much more important, it's a huge, deep, and liquid financial market, which is absolutely fundamental to make this global economy function. This function can be complemented by the City of London. You all know the definition of an emerging market by the traders in London. An emerging market is a market you can't emerge from in case of emergency. From the United States you can emerge from, you can get in. The only problem with this capacity of the United States to be the main decision maker, even if not completely, to control completely the events, is that you have now a real confrontation inside the United States between the sectors that thrive and benefit from the global economy and the sectors that benefit from the local and internal, national, domestic economy and that feel threatened by globalization. The Tea Party on one side, Wall Street on the other, etc. You have all this big confrontation there, and we don't know yet who's going to win. Probably the globalizers are going to win, but it can take some time. The second actor that can have some possibilities to act is Germany. Why? Because Germany has a capacity to maintain, to adjust to this world and to maintain a huge competitivity of its economy, and more important, to adjust to the problems with internal consensus. So Germany now has this capacity, but this capacity will depend on the possibility of Germany to impose in Europe, to construe, to build a Europe around itself and on its criteria. And as we know, what Mrs. Merkel is trying to do today is to have a system in the euro area where you would have a European supranational control of the national budgets of the states, and the criteria of good budget, goals, and management being decided in fine in the Bundestag. This obviously makes a problem with France. And I'm not sure the French will accept that. But the other countries now in the euro area have already accepted that. Most of the governments who are there are technical governments and making governance on this criteria. All the other countries will have a very limited role. So it remains China. What China will make? First of all, China is extremely dependent on the global economy and knows that. The power China has today is more a negative power. It can create havoc in the system. And sometimes it can give a helping hand in certain circumstances. China could be a real global actor if it could accept the responsibility for the management of the global system and not only of its own interests. But to do that, it has to have much more possibilities on doing that. It is a revolutionary change that China will have to make. And there is discussion in China about that. China will have to be less dependent and have a much bigger internal market in order to sustain that power. But a big internal market means much more consumption, private consumption in China, which means liberalizing the yuan and, more important, liberalizing credit. But we all know that the power structure in China is based on the managing and attribution of credit. If you liberalize credit, the system can lose its control. So I'm not sure the Chinese are ready to go all the way down on this road, even if they know that it is the only way to grow and become a bigger player. I think all the other countries of the world can have a play in some issues, but they will play second fiddle to what I'm saying. So I don't see for the next 20 years a bright future for collective governance between equals. I see much more a governance as we have today, but commanded by a structure much more centralized than before, with Washington at the helm, Germany as the principal alliance, and some big emerging countries with a residual power that has some power because they can make havoc. So that gives us to our last scenario, which is chaos. A big chaos in the world. If the internal confrontation in the United States keeps lingering on, and we have this paralysis in the United States government, if Germany cannot put together its European project, if China cannot go more in the sense of opening up its market and the China bubble explodes and you have nationalistic pulsions that will make even war possible in Asia, all this can lead to chaos. I think this scenario is highly improbable, but it is possible. In the 20th century, and even before, every time you had huge global debt and credit crisis, the solution was very simple: war. Why? Because war, you destroy capital, fixed capital, and you destroy human capital. And then you can rebuild the whole thing again, very quickly and very strongly, and things work. Today, that's much, much more difficult. It's very difficult. I don't think we are heading to a global war. But some way down the line, a lot of fixed capital and human capital will have to be destroyed to reconstruct the system. Who will pay? How? What this will come out? In a world where there is governance without government, you never can tell. Thank you very much.